Hello, welcome to the Reloading Podcast. Today we're here with Tim and Chris from Tactical Walls. Today we're going to talk to these guys and they're going to tell us a bit about the company and how Tactical Walls not only works for firearm storage, but how we can use it for reloading and keeping our benches cleaner. But first, guys, introduce yourselves.
I'm Tim.
I'm Chris. Tim, apparently a little short-winded today. He is the president and founder of the company. I'm the vice president of sales and marketing.
Yeah, I didn't know how in depth you wanted to go there. So
how did Tactical Walls come about?
So Tactical Walls came about out of a very real problem that I was having, in that I bought a firearm, and like they always do, it multiplied into many firearms. And so the plastic cases started to collect and add up. You have a bunch of pistol cases or rifle cases, and a guy's only got so much room under his bed, or in the corner or the closet. And then you shoot your guns and you take them out of the cases and you bring them home and you clean them, or you leave them on the bench, or you're working on them, gunsmithing, whatever it is you're doing. So now you've got a bunch of empty cases and a bunch of guns out of the cases. And where do you keep them as they continue to multiply, as they often do? So it wasn't so much a problem with my children, because they've got their own firearms, and you work on firearm safety tenets and stuff. That wasn't really as much of a concern for me at the time. Really what it was when I would travel out of state, I wanted to hide all my guns. So I'm like a squirrel with his nuts, and I'm taking these acorns and I'm hiding them all over the house. And when I come back from my travels, I'm going around unhiding my guns, and I've got a mental checklist. Okay, there's my FN, there's my Glock, and there's my Daniel Defense, and that's fine when you have guns that you can count on one hand, probably. When you start to have more than that, or if you're, got a short memory like me, all of a sudden you count your empty cases and you count your firearms, and you realize you're still missing a few that you hid because you didn't hide them all in one place if you're a smart squirrel. So I wanted to find a way to hide the guns where I could just get to them. So I wanted a product that I could just have hidden compartments in, leave it hidden. Even when I'm home, I can leave it hidden right where it is, but get into it at a moment's notice. So it started with our mirror was the first thing I came up with, was like, hey, I'm going to put a mirror in the bedroom. I'm going to cut a hole behind it. I'm going to hide it behind the mirror. It'll be like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, whatever, James Bond. And that way I'll have my gun ready if I need it in the middle of the night, out of sight, and I can secure it if you really want to keep it secured, locked up, so that the little ones can't get to it. Started there. And that way I could keep a gun hidden in the bedroom, and I could keep a gun hidden at the other end of the house on a shelf, and I could keep a gun hidden in the living room. And you could have guns spread all through the house. So no matter where you are, you're never far from one, but it's still locked up or secure, out of sight, and accessible. And then you don't have to wonder and do this mental, bingo card of where are the guns. That's how it started. So.
And Chris, how did you get involved?
So I met Tim before the company was a company, really. It was just a product. And I was a salesman for Fastenal, selling nuts and bolts, and he was a designer at a plastic plant. And he had High Threat Concealment's very first mass production prototype on his desk. And I got super excited because I recognized another gun guy when I saw that holster. And so we started talking about that. And then Tim showed me, was it the original prototype of the,
it was,
give or take?
It was the little, or 1440, which is a plastic tub insert. You cut out your wall and sheetrock, you slide it in there. And I produced maybe 25 of these little plastic inserts, and then had some mirrors you hang over. But we started talking about guns, and oh, you like guns? You have guns too? Right. Wow, let's talk about guns. Let me show you something, and it started there. I take the mirror off of the wall, and he was like,
I got really excited. I was like, man, if you ever need it, I think I can help you sell this like a lot. And that really kind of got the ball rolling. It was dormant for a month, I don't know, maybe 3 months, something like that. Who can remember?
It's been, and this is 5 years, going back 5+ years, because the website now has been 5 years. And It was when I was visiting. It's funny. I'm getting ready to leave at the end of this week to visit my brother in Connecticut for a week. And it was visiting my brother in Connecticut, we'll say 5.5 years ago, that I got a phone call from Chris saying, "Hey, I think I've got a couple people interested in that thing, you had." I was telling them about it, and they got a couple takers that really want one. So that was really what, because like I said, I've made 25 of these things, and I'll sell them when I can. And I did the front end legwork of it. I came up with a name and figured out that side of it, but it just kind of petered out. I got a job. I don't have time to go try to find other people that would maybe want this thing. It was really a solution for me, and maybe I could find 24 other people that would be interested in this thing. And Chris found several people. And he called me to let me know. And so I'm thinking, oh, great. I can sell some of these things now and get them out of here. And so when we got back from Connecticut, which is also coincidentally where Chris is from originally, he and I got together and we're like, well, let's do this. Then let's make this be a thing. And let's get started. So we got started on a website and went from there. This might be the most comprehensive how did you get started history of all the times we've done different podcasts and interviews, and this might be the most in-depth we've ever.
That's kind of cool how that started. You just, it's kind of like a lot of the ways that we all kind of get involved. We just see a little something out of the corner of eye. Oh, hey, that person likes guns. And we start talking about guns, and then you find out this, that, and the other thing. And then, Chris, you had the background in sales, and Tim, you were the idea man, and you guys just got together and away you went. And
exactly. Yeah, that shared passion is really what started it all, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now 5.5 years later, look at where you guys are. And just the first time I actually got to lay hands on some of your products was actually at the Concealed Carry Expo that NRA had in Milwaukee.
Nice.
And I'd heard, and honestly, you hear all this stuff, especially us in the firearms world, you hear all this stuff about all these products.
Yeah.
And I was blown away with the quality. I've seen, some, the generic hide a gun behind a clock stuff and Steve stuff like that. That's been floating around for years that, basically there's no security to it or anything. But to see the products in person, to see how they operate, to see the quality, the craftsmanship, the finish, the fit, I honestly was just blown away.
I think where we tried to set ourselves apart was by making a functional piece of furniture first that then did something awesome, instead of just focusing on this is a thing that hides stuff. How can we make it the cheapest way possible? We wanted to make a piece of furniture that you were going to be happy living with for the next 25 years.
Yeah. And
a big part of that is what sets us aside from, like you said, you've seen the clock or the hidden book or whatever for years. It's just been a sort of staple. We tried very early on because, we both had full-time jobs. So it wasn't like we're going to make these things. It was we're going to have these made. So I was doing the plastic part from the company I worked for at the time. And then the wood we'd subbed out to another shop. And then we outgrew that shop to another shop. And then we were outgrowing that shop, or just the quality control. And ultimately, within about 4 or 5 months, it was growing really fast. And it became very apparent that to be able to control lead times and quality control expectations, we had to bring it in-house.
Yep.
So that was a crazy hectic time, because it was like, all right, do you quit your full-time job to go pursue this thing so you can control the quality and the turnaround time? So ultimately we opted yes, we do that. So from that point on, we've just brought more and more of the things that we had subbed out in-house.
Yep.
To the point where, so then we could do the woodworking, but we still subbed out the plastic. Well, then we brought that in-house, and so ultimately we went from a shop of nothing to a shop of, all right, turnkey. So as a result, we're able to control the quality and the consistency of the product, like you say, and like you mentioned. And we get that all the time when we travel, when we go to these shows. In your case, the NRA show in Wisconsin, but whether it be the NRA shows and the other, the ANRAM, the annual meetings, or whether it be the SHOT Show. We go to SHOT Show or Great American in Pennsylvania. When people see it in person for the first time, they've seen it. They've seen the videos online. They've seen it on Facebook. They've seen it on Pinterest, and they've seen it in the magazines. And it's something different when you can actually touch and feel and really recognize. And we get that. We create a product that doesn't, what a Gen 5 Glock, what a Gen 5's Glock is going to be. It's going to be just like the 4 and like the 3 before it, with a couple little changes here and there. But you've held one, you've seen one in person. Whereas our product, it's not so widespread and it's not so big that everyone's seen one, not in person at least.
Well, and it's really hard to judge a piece of furniture by a picture online. Until you can actually put hands on it and see it up close in person, there's no way to get a real good sense of it.
Well, and we don't make a product that the firearm enthusiast is really thinking about. They don't wake up just like, oh, I'm going to think about furniture today. Furniture is not per se a major passion for firearm enthusiasts.
Right.
And to be fair, furniture really isn't a major passion for us because we make storage for concealing and deploying firearms for home and personal defense. That's what we make. But what we really make is furniture.
Yep.
So it's twofold. Everything that we make is a system by which you can store and display and deploy, and you can use it. And you can buy it. You can just be, hey, look, I just want the James Bond feel. I don't have any anticipation of ever using this to save my life. You can be that guy or gal, Or you can be, oh, you know what? I'm using this specifically for saving my life. This is a real solid defensive plan for me. I don't really care what color it is or what shape it is. This, for me, is a real tool. And you could be that type of person, And so it's kind of either or. It can be it's the cool aspect, or no, it's functional, and I need it to be this thing. But for us, it's both. It's always got to be both. It's got to be a functioning furniture piece that would fit in your home, fit the decor, and be well built, because it's not a disposable thing. It's not a holster where, and not to rib on holsters. Once you wear a holster, anyone that's bought a holster has bought 5 holsters. Because you want to try to find the next most comfortable one or the next most usable one. Or I like this feature for when I wear this outfit. You got your business casual holster, you got your working in the field holster. So our product, you got to live with it day in and day out. So it's got to look good in your home, and it's got to be furniture. And at a point, and we're going to work our way to this thing here behind us, our mod wall we call it, and that's probably more for the Reloading podcast fans, where something like this can be a bigger tool. And as we sort of changed gears and moved from furniture centric to a whole nother, yes, it's still storage. Yes, you can get to it quickly. Yes, it has the panache and the showy offness if that's what you're looking for. But it's super functional as far as a tool to help you do a specific job. And in this case, if it's reloading or cleaning or gunsmithing, it can be a real good tool for that.
The one last thing I just want to touch on, going back to what you said about the clock, the book, etc. I think one of the biggest differences there is those are all made offshore and they come in a big container, and nobody really cares. Everything we do is made right here in Virginia. It's like 15 feet from where we're sitting, by people who really care about it. So I think that's one of the things that really sets us apart too.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that the craftsmen that assembled and built all those units take pride in their work, because everything is, the corners on the rifle drop-down shelf. The corners are perfect.
Yep.
There's no offset. The cuts perfect. Everything everything looks like it's built with love, care, compassion, and by a master craftsman. And it really shows that the people that are actually building these do care.
Absolutely. We're really, really lucky and proud of the staff we've built here. they do things that I don't think either of us can do on a regular basis, the way they execute.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, every now and then they'll call you out or call me and say, hey, can you come look at this? What do you think of this tolerance? Or what do you think of this finish? Or what do you think of this, how this looking, feeling, working, closing, open, locking? And it's kind of funny to me because I built it 4.5 years ago, and I built the first, maybe several hundred. In that time, they've built thousands and thousands and thousands. It's like, you're the master now. Like, don't ask me what I think. You're the one that's like, you can do this with your eyes closed. So.
Yeah. So
that was an awkward pause, like Craig Ferguson.
What's the most popular item?
It kind of goes back and forth, but it's either our 1450M, which is the big mirror, or the 1242 RLS, which is the full rifle shelf.
But being October right now, it's the pumpkin spice shelf.
Yeah. Pumpkin spice, always good this time of year.
Yes.
It's the full length mirror. It's the full length mirror, or it's the full width shelf. They're the two most popular, and they switch back and forth. And the colors vary sometimes with season.
Yeah.
But we've got our suspicions as to why that is, because they're just darn sexy. They look good. You can fit a rifle in it. You can fit a shotgun in it. You can fit a couple handguns in it. So if someone's buying it, they're buying it so they want to store a couple different things, and that's why I feel, it's my feeling, based on nothing else, why that resonates so well with people.
I think one of my favorite things, because I got home and I started perusing the website right away. I think one of my favorite things is not only that you offer so many different options for finish, but you also offer it with no finish.
Yep.
So if the customer wants to put their own custom finish on it, they don't have to strip a finish off first.
Right, absolutely. And it shows up ready to accept stain. It's sanded, final sand, clean. All you got to do is wipe it down and go to town. It's ready to go. And I'm guessing if you're willing to reload your own rounds, you're probably interested in finishing your own piece of furniture as well.
Oh yeah. So the mod wall, how did that come about?
That's an interesting story. We've since we started the business, we were trying to work with some other companies. We've been able to develop some really great relationships with really great people in the industry. And we thought, hey, we make a this, you make a that. If you put our this with your that, we can put these two things together. It'd be peanut butter and jelly. It's going to be great. And on paper, that sounds really good. And when you're working and you're not in the same town and you're not being able to be face to face, that always complicates things a bit. Or when you have two different visions of what it could look like and where could you put it. But it just made sense to kind of work together. So we tried to work with another company, and it would take off and it would peter out, and take off and it would peter out. And once it petered out and it was sitting stagnant, I thought, well, there's something here. Like we're missing the opportunity for a thing we can do on our side. So we had, at the time, we were doing a lot of custom stuff here. We don't currently do the custom stuff as much as we had, and we're not really as focused on that. It's not that we wouldn't go back to it. It's just a whole different part of the business. And at the time, we were marrying these cool systems with our custom stuff, and we thought, well, let's just make our own. That way we won't have to deal with the clumsiness of a relationship with the people we're working with. Were very focused on their side of it, or at least on what their main core business was. And we really wanted to work with them, and they did want to work with us, but they had to stay focused. We can't fault them for that. But at the same time, we really saw an opportunity in this other thing. So we pursued some prototypes of our own. We'll kind of make our own then, and we'll make our own peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So that's kind of where that started and it went into some different custom things that we were doing at the time. And it was a natural progression. So you know what? If there's a market for this kind of gunroom sort of man cave style displaying of the gun wall culture, let's just do it. Let's make a nice one, Sure, you can go buy pegboard. You know, you can go down to the hardware store, you can buy pegboard and get all the little metal attachments, and you can hang it up, and it'll look like your dad's lawnmower shed. It'll look like pegboard at the end of the day. But, you know, if you're building and if you're putting the money that it takes to put a, you know, $600 optic or $1,000 optic on your rifle, you know, if you're building a $2,000 gun or a $1,500 gun, you don't want to just throw it in a case in the corner. You know, you don't want to hide it behind a mirror. You want to admire it. You want to show it off. You want to have it at your workbench. You know, you go shoot it, you bring it home, you clean it, you smith on it a bit, and then you display it. So we recognize that. We also recognize there's a lot of younger guys going out overseas, Afghanistan, Iraq. They're running a couple different tours. They've got all their different kit. They come back. They're in law enforcement now. They've got a plate carrier, you know, they've got a helmet, they've got a belt, you know, battle belt, and all this other sort of stuff that, you know, your dad and your grandfather didn't have. You know, they had a gun rack or maybe a gun case, you know, but firearms in our culture have changed how we use them, how we interface them, and who uses them. You could have your layman gun guy who's going out and shooting once a month, you know, to your people that live and breathe every day with firearms. You've got your everyday carry crowd who are, you know, your very well-informed casual firearm owner and enthusiast. You've got your law enforcement guys who have their specific kit that they carry every day, or maybe on the weekends or when they're going to range. So we wanted to give away, as you can see the mod wall behind us, all right, you can display and organize your plate carrier. You know, you come home from the range, you stink, you're sweaty, you're gross. Okay, you can either ball it up in the corner and put all your stuff in the corner, let it get some circulation and get the funk off of it.
And look awesome.
And look good while doing it. So in this particular like 2-panel setup, we've got a 300 blackout rifle here on display, pistol here. We've got a fake shotgun, Uzi, MP5. So just in a small set of panels with a couple different accessories, and this is completely modular. That's what the mod and mod wall is. You can configure and move this stuff around. It's almost like Legos, you know, and very much like the AR, you know, is they call it like Barbie for guys or whatever. And you know, you get your AR, a real basic model AR, and then you can go buy all of the furniture you want, any optics you want, whatever, you know, the sky's the limit. You build your own, you personalize it. Well, this mod wall system is a way for you to personalize and store and display your collection. And as your collection grows, the mod wall is expandable. You can add more panels left and right, top and bottom. And when you got a gun room, you know, we all want a gun room, but you start with like a couple firearms. And eventually you get to the point where you can do a whole wall of guns. And you can see all of them on display all at once. You can take a quick inventory. You don't forget about, you know, like I talked about earlier, you got a whole bunch of gun cases. And you forget which guns you even bought. And when you want to go shoot the gun, oh, I forgot I even had this gun. You know, I've got a Ruger Mark IV that I continually forget I have. And a big part of that's because 22 long rifle became so expensive and so scarce years ago, then you just didn't shoot it. You just put it away. It was like, okay, I still have this. I just don't ever use it anymore. So this mod wall now allows you to kind of see, organize, and display your whole collection. Really enjoy it, because gun guys, more times than not, shooting it's just part of it. Working on it is part of it. Enjoying it and admiring it is part of it. You know, you get home and get as much enjoyment out of standing there in front of it, you know, with your favorite coffee mug or your favorite bottle of beer or whatever, and really just, it's an investment. It's an investment of time and it's an investment of money. And you can just look there, you get peace of mind knowing that you've got what you need to either protect yourself and your family, or even recognizing the protection that it brings, in that you can pass that on to your children, and you can pass the heritage on. Or, I mean, if it's got a peace of mind in the sense that it is an investment, it's a financial investment, but you ever need to get rid of a gun, you want to do something, you know, God, you can gift them. It's just, so many, it's
guns are the best.
Guns are the best is where we're going with this, which we all know. But sorry, let's see the whole long-winded thing. Now it's all catching up. You're kind of regretting it.
So, what's the weight capacity on the mod wall?
That's a really, really good question. It's not like we've got like a super fancy testing lab.
Right.
We had hung about 125 pounds.
150.
Oh, I'm sorry, 150. I stand corrected. Not from one single loading point. Let me see if I can get see if we take that off. Back to me a little. This is awkward sitting down. All right, so I'm going to pull this off. It's a pistol holder here.
Yeah.
And it looks like a magazine, you know, and that's for a double stack. So it just fits in the mag well. We also have a magnetic version.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at, though, is to answer your question. The way that the system works is you've got these two screws that are adjustable in the back, and they ride in a slot on the wall. Now, the more torque and leverage you put down on this, obviously, the harder that this has got to hold it up there. So we've distributed and hung some weights, some plates, and I think we've got a photo or video of this somewhere, where we went into we got a weight room here, and we went into the weight room, grabbed a bunch of weights, and we hung them off all these different accessories all over the wall. And we've hung 150 pounds off of this panel here. Now, 150 pounds is far more than you're really ever going to put on the thing.
Right.
I mean, the plate carrier, this is probably about 40 pounds, I guess.
And that's definitely the heaviest thing by a lot.
Those are rated, you know, for 5.56, 7.62. So those are
strike. They're level 3s.
Yeah, they're heavy plates, but I don't think we have that on the website. We don't say 150. I don't believe.
No, basically we put 25-pound plates on several different accessories and had 0 failures. And a lot of that's dependent on the end user because they have to not have it too loose so that it can leverage out and stuff like that. They have to, you know, make sure it's right. But
it's sort of a common sense sort of, you know, like if you try to hang a Barrett off of like these two little connection points that were designed to hold a pistol, in time, it might hold it initially, but in time, that's going to be bad. So don't do that, obviously.
Well, what I was looking at is I'm looking at the helmet hanger, and I'm thinking that might be a perfect display for like a press. If you come up with a bracket for the helmet hangers for setting a press on, not to use, just for like.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm with you now. Yeah, you're thinking in real life to refocus my brain to the reloading side of it.
Because most of them press. So.
Yep. Yeah. No, that'd be perfect. You're right.
And there's a variety of shelves. So we got a shorter, a smaller, you know, shelf for different tools, boxes. I don't know which primers, whatever. I'm sure you've got a whole variety of little things. You know, we've got a bigger, more robust shelf here behind Chris for holding things. And then this stuff is super easy to work with. It's polyethylene, high density polyethylene. So if you've got a punch set or a screwdriver set or a set of pliers, if you want to run a bunch of tools in here, you can just take out a drill, poke yourself a hole, your own. Yep. It's completely made to be your own. So, and we do have photos, and I wish we could probably share something, but we've got photos of it used in like a smithing bench, like a gunsmithing bench. There's no press there, but you can definitely see how it can be used in that capacity.
Yeah, you can set if you want. You can email me a couple of those, and then I'll put them up in the notes for this episode.
Perfect.
So,
just
amazing the versatility and the ability to be able to just change it out and all the different little things, and then the fact that you've got the Haida magnet too, so where you can just literally just something's magnetic, just slap it on the magnet and away you go.
Exactly. Anything steel can just stick right there wherever you put it. It's honestly my favorite of all the attachments, just because it's so versatile. And if you're putting a pistol on there, it looks like it's floating, and that's cool.
That is cool. So what's next?
Ooh. Some stuff we can't talk about.
There's a bunch of things. And yeah, basically we just don't want to disappoint anybody because there's like several things that are kind of in a race for what's next.
Yeah.
And so until we figure out what that is, we need to.
But I mean, as far as what's next, when you look where we started with insert that could be put in a wall. You hang a mirror over it. started with hanging a mirror. Then we built a mirror, but you still got to cut a hole in your wall. So then it moved and it evolved from cutting a hole in your wall to hanging a shelf on the wall. So you still require screwdrivers and guns, and you know, cutting a hole is a modification to your home. Hanging a shelf is a much lower,
Pretty minimal.
you still have to break out the screw gun. You still got to break out the level and the measuring tape and all that. And then we went to some table type things, or our lamp, where, okay, take it out of the box and set it down and it's done, you know. And everything Hydomatic, you just mentioned, it's to run 2 screws in wherever you want and it's done. And you've got everything from like a $20 entry level item to the sky's the limit. You know, you want to spend $1,000 and have something custom made, add another 1,500 to the 1,000, and you can do that. So, where we've opened this can of worms and led the way for a couple other people too. You know, we're kind of paving the path for other people to drive on. But we're going to continue to lead and push what that is, and how we interact with it in the home and out of the home and in the workshop or in the gun room. So you never can tell where we'll go next.
So with the mod wall, what sort of mounting system does it use?
So it's pre-drilled. You'll never be able to see it, so I don't know why I'm pointing, but it's pre-drilled 16 on center. So you have to find your studs, and we provide the mounting screws. So it's literally as simple as just running some screws into your studs, and then the panels are hung. Everything else comes on those screws he was showing you earlier, and it's adjustable tension, so you can figure out where you want it, keep them loose, and then tighten them down, slide them into place, and let them stay there. So it's really, really well modular, just like the name suggests. That comes out a little different. We're starting to get some great customer pictures on our Facebook of different people's mod walls that they're sending in. It's starting to look really cool.
Excellent. So I will put some links in the show notes for the mod wall, and then the pictures of your one guy who's got the gunsmithing setup. And
yep. We'll get that to you shortly.
I know it's somewhere. I was just looking for it. I know it's somewhere. I've got my phone. I have it somewhere where I could probably put it right in here. But I told you earlier, suck at technology.
Yeah. I want to take some time to thank you guys for working out some time to sit down and talk with us and show us this. And I definitely, especially with all the shelving and everything, it's an awesome product to really make your reloading area look sharp. It's one of my projects I'm going to work on here the next couple of months, since it's going into winter. And Wisconsin, there's really not much to do outside. So when I get mine ordered and set up and stuff, I'll send you guys some pictures.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for having us on. I know we jumped the time around on you like 6 times or something. So the flexibility is definitely appreciated. And we're big fans of anybody involved with Firearms Radio Network, because that's an awesome organization. So
thank you. All right, gentlemen, I'll let you get back to it. And thanks again.
All right, thanks, Mike. Have a great day.
You too.